Well, good afternoon everyone. It's the 31st of March and here I am under the carport outside our garage at our house, and I've not put a post on for a while. What I've been busy with, and you may be interested to know, is renovating a floor. For those of you who visited us at the vicarage at Rosthern, you'll know that the reception rooms and the hall downstairs were a lovely parquet floor, and I was really keen on this floor. You didn't need to put carpets down, you could just put rugs down. When we moved here, I thought, well, it'd really be nice to have a parquet floor in the dining room. And so I looked around and I found a second-hand parquet floor that had been taken up from a house not so far from here. The only problem was that instead of coming in nice comfortable squares to lay it with, it came in individual fingers of hardwood like this. 7,000 of them, and for the last few weeks I've been busy cleaning the bitumen off the back of these fingers one by one, or rather four at a time, and I've got to the stage now where I've been able to start putting together these fingers into a jig. Now I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Here's what I did. I used some sheets of plywood. Actually, these are the redundant leaves from our dining table, ones I made years ago to replace ones which are missing, and unfortunately our dining room here isn't large enough to have the table at its full extent. So I've used this, made up frames on the table, then reassembled the individual fingers into the frames, put glue on the back, and then some mesh. I found some mesh like this that had been like this, that's actually made, fiberglass mesh, actually made to reinforce render on the outside of buildings, and that then, when the glue has been put on the back of the sheets, that then goes on the back and is rubbed well in, and when it dries, what you have is a tile, a beautiful tile that's got a bit of mess on it, because at one point the people who had the house painted part of the floor a nice shade of lilac. But when these are laid in our dining room and in my new study, if there are enough, I'll be sanding the surface down and it'll be a nice finish. So I'm looking forward to that. But what I'm doing at the moment, and I'll just put this back over here, because it is quite heavy. I have here behind me a thicknesser, and this thicknesser I'm using to regularise the size of the little wooden fingers. They're going to go in here, and I'm going to do a demonstration for you of how they go in and then how they come out again at the other side. So just bear with me and I'll get it all set up. Well, here is the thicknesser already, it's set up. I also have it hooked up to my extractor there, because it produces a huge amount of dust and chippings. So we'll get it running. Now this is going to be quite noisy. that is quite enough of that. I think you'll agree. A very noisy process, and I'm grateful that my neighbours are quite forbearing about the amount of noise I've been making over the last few weeks. This, what we end up with, of course, is some nicely shaved fingers, exactly the right thickness, so that when they're laid out in the frames, the glue goes on and the fiberglass mesh goes on the back, they make a perfect square. I've done about a couple of hundred of these so far, and these squares, that is, not the fingers, 7,000 fingers. Why do I know there were 7,000 fingers? Well, the chap I bought them from weighed 100 and then weighed everything else and divided it all up, and he worked out that there were about 7,000 individual little fingers. It's been quite a hard job, but I'm sure that when the job's finished, it will be worth all the effort. Behind me, of course, is the garage and the carport. I'm standing under the carport. The carport's been very, very useful over the last year to work underneath, but it's all going to be coming down. Sometime next month I'm planning to start demolishing the garage and then the carport, ready for building the extension. Starting that in probably end of April, and it's going to be quite a long job, but I'll keep everyone posted on what's happening. So there we are. I've been keeping myself thoroughly amused by working my way through 7,000 individual little fingers of hardwood, building them back together into frames ready for laying on the floor. So I will leave you there and get back on with it, because I want to do it as quickly as possible while the weather is good. So goodbye, and thank you very much for watching, and I'm sorry about the long delay since my last post. Thanks very much. God bless. Bye bye.